let's tackle the added authority first, Josh. The situation with the director being terminated, where she gave us, they gave her a salary of $110,000, and you guys jumped in. Mr. Dean said, we have an audit situation here, a bunch of red flags. You voted unanimously to give him authority to take over that.
Absolutely.
And they just hired a new gentleman, Tim Hamby.
Absolutely. People should be proud of their government and proud of the entire county council when it relates to this issue. It was in the news and people say, oh, the ad authorities and mishaps. It's absolutely incorrect. The county council caught this quickly. They went in, they did exactly what needed to be done. It was audited, it was taken care of, we took control, and we got through that situation where we caught a person who was stealing from government. We did exactly, and the safeguards, allegedly, very allegedly. I can tell you, you're right.
My purposes,
yes, I can appreciate that. So it's, it was very, very fast, in my opinion, for government to operate in that manner, and I was very proud of our management and obviously our council. I think all members were actively involved.
And just a quick follow-up. I realized that when county government, you have a lot of boards and commissions, a lot of volunteers, and you have to find people to be willing to sit in these volunteer positions. But shouldn't something like an ad authority, shouldn't these board members be vetted more thoroughly? Shouldn't they come before the county council? I mean, Chief Chitwood, for example, was complaining about a guy that was running a hotel on the beachside that apparently had a lot of drug activity or criminal activity.
I was actually at his hotel this morning talking to him about ways, and I'm glad you brought that up. He actually showed me the law that he had, because I had some questions for him, and he showed me the law that he has to deal with when someone wants to come stay at his place. There's a certain set of rules he has to go by, and he's having a difficult time because they're saying, well, there's drug activity and these things going on. I'm actually reaching out to our county attorneys, to actually the state attorney's office, to have forums so these hoteliers can know exactly, okay, these are the issues that you can look for, and you can say, I can't rent to you, I don't want to rent to you, and not put themselves in a liability situation, because they want, and that one individual wants to help and do everything he can, but he's put in a hard position. So he's actually actively sought my help. I'm busy campaigning, but I still have to do my job, and I want to help him make sure he's successful.
And Nancy, on the Southeast Volusia Ad Authority Board in particular, there was one member who voted in favor of the director, where the evidence, as Mr. Wagner points out, was overwhelming, where there was allegation of corruption and outright theft. One of the board members had been appointed after receiving $50,000 worth of grants from the CRA in the same community. Right. How does that work if you're Josh, if you're receiving that kind of a grant, that kind of money, then you go on another board and you are now in a position to hand out money to others that helped you. I mean, isn't there a responsibility of the county council in that regard with vetting?
It's very difficult because we can talk about this one all night long, because when you're dealing with the ad authorities, and just so people know, the ad authorities are set up through the state legislature. There's a certain set of rules that I have to abide by. They're very specific in what I can do and what I can't do. I'm not going to put the county in a position where we're going to get sued because I just go haywire and I'm a cowboy out there shooting the gun. Right. I have to make sure that I follow the rules. Now, that being said, I'm going to make sure they follow the rules. Now, situations like that where we have conflicts of interest, it's like, believe me, when I tell you this, it's not just that board. I mean, there are a lot of boards when you're dealing with social services.
That's more high profile.
Well, it's hard because the experts and the people that are actively involved, a lot of times are the people that are getting grant money. I mean, they know the area. Just like if you have politicians in a small town, they may have property next to a property. It's because they know that area and it's small. Every city, every county in the United States has to deal with some sort of issue as far as those issues, as that's concerned. So it's a difficult one.
And then we're running out of time, so I'm sorry. Nancy, the issue about the ad authority, where once they realized we need to have structure on the salary levels, the county council and Councilman Wagner voted unanimously with the group to rein in those salaries and have a set of parameters for this is the high end, this is the low end. For the Halifax Advertising Authority, the Hobwood, that's the biggest one, so obviously the salary was bigger. DeLand was the smallest, so that, and then New Smyrna somewhere in the middle. But then, right after they did the study, Ted Doran, who ran for county chair and finished out of the running in the primary, was pushing a gentleman for the Harbord, saying we absolutely have to have this guy, otherwise life as we know it in tourism will fail. And they went above the salary structure, the range, right after they did that. Does that give the public a sense of, here we go again, and not keeping their word?
Well, it certainly does beg the question, let's put it that way, because although I respect this person's abilities very much, I do think that if you've just voted on a structure, then to immediately go to exceed it is somewhat questionable.
Josh, I know that you had trouble with that in terms of, you know.
I had trouble with it initially because I thought the standard was a little too low. And how we analyzed it is difficult because we weren't looking at necessarily that same position in a bigger area. I thought we were more of a magnifying glass rather than looking at, okay, how much are they all getting paid? Because it's a very competitive job. You want to have someone that's good because they're in charge of a large budget. That board, no disrespect to Southeast Volusia or West Volusia, but that board advertises and markets who we are to the world. It's one of the most important. The hub. It is because they have the most money, and that position to me is one of the top 3 positions in this county. And the reason being is because if they mess up, we all hurt. If they do well, and we have the right person in it, we all succeed. Because if you look at traditionally, and everyone talks about the beach, and the reason we all are so ingrained in the beach is because we define our success, and everyone needs to do this. It's really important when you're talking, when you're watching the presidential debate or this one, define what success is to you. What do you want to see over the next 4 years? Well, that position to me is one that we can define success, because if that area is doing well and the beach is doing well, we all sing. The tide rises, all boats rise with the high tide.
Do we combine the 3 ad authorities together? We
don't have the legal authority, but I think there are ways. There's functional consolidation. There's no reason why we should have 4 different rate cards for the Orlando Sentinel, and I include the Ocean Center in that. There should not be a separate rate card for anything we do. We should be buying in bulk.
What about privatizing the Ocean Center? People keep saying it's a money loser. Other people say it's not supposed to make money, but it's supposed to enhance other entities to make money.
I tried to have the discussion about, it was probably about a year and a half ago, to even discuss having a third party operate as far as sales. We should be having, our salespeople should be making, they should be part of the sales process. They shouldn't be getting just a salary. They should get a commission.
Should government even be in this?
In my opinion,
it's not making money, right?
I wanted to talk about it and have them come in and really look at it. Does this work in our model? But we didn't even discuss it. I was in the minority.
I am not in favor of privatizing the Ocean Center itself. I do think that there's some...
The marketing and the advertising functions.
I think that should be done by a conglomerate of the High Board, the CVB, and the Convention Visitors Bureau, and the Ocean Center, because the Ocean Center does its own little piece of the pie. And then the advertising boards and the Convention and Visitors Bureau have separate but related responsibilities, so they need to all work together.
And I think you can't leave off the fact, it's not like you're selling a car where you see an ad on TV that you're going to buy from a salesman. The sales are directly related to the marketing. The marketing and sales are exactly tied together.
But wouldn't you take the politics out of it?
You can't take politics out of anything, I've learned.
But if you take the government out of it, don't you take the politics out of it?
There's always going to be something, because it's dealing with tax dollars. And anytime you're dealing with tax dollars, it's going to be political.
I don't think that would
take... Bed tax dollars.
But the bed tax dollars are, they're essential in order to run the Ocean Center. That's what the basis of its funding is. So, of course, they're going to be politics, as he says, but I think the challenge is to get everybody to work together so that the politics are minimized. So everybody has a common goal, and that's part of the oversight that the county needs to have, is to make sure that that's what's actually happening.
Well, apparently we have a new person in Southeast Volusia, Tim Hamby, who's very good. We have Jeffrey Hentz, who's come with a lot of accolades, and you guys were impressed with him. I assume you were too. Let's move on to the final thing before we get to the budget, and that is, and of course you've been kind of vilified, fairly or unfairly, the American Music Festival and your relationship with Manuel Borgia. Miss Epps alluded to it in her opening, or near her opening. What about this? Tell us what happened.
Well, I thought her choice of words when she discussed my relationship was pretty interesting. The only thing I'm guilty of is enjoying Huey Lewis in the News. It was a great show. I had a great time. Tony Bennett was great. I danced to Steppin' Out with my wife. It was a great show. I had a good time as a user.
Didn't you have a business relationship with Mr. Borgia?
After the fact, those of you that read Floridian View magazine, it's a very quality, a good magazine.
He was the publisher of it.
He was the publisher. In my undergrad degree from UF is in advertising and design. And I really enjoyed
for us.
Well, I enjoyed that aspect of it. I really did, and I have a creative mind and a business sense. You know, I'm a businessman. That's what I do. When I'm not a county councilman, I guess they're always at the same time. But the issue was with that. Obviously, there's the American Music Festival was just a bad situation for a lot of people. Not me. I didn't, you know, obviously I just went as a user to enjoy the concerts. But as far as the magazine's gorgeous. It's still going. I sold what I learned about. It's probably been a little over a year now. Is it's difficult. I've learned I'm not going to be in government and be in the media. The problem is that I was an owner in the magazine, and people were thinking that was my voice. And I've learned that as a representative, I have to be careful because my voice is the voice of the people. And if that's kind of channeled through a magazine, you just start touching on some awkward areas. I didn't feel comfortable with it anymore. They wanted to do some partnerships with some municipalities. I didn't feel comfortable with that either. So I decided to sell my shares and step away. I didn't want to. I didn't. But I made that choice because I felt it could give the appearance. It just had a bad feeling to it. It looked bad sometimes at points when I'm sitting down in a meeting and someone pulls out the magazine, someone I represent, and it's highlighted. And they're saying, you said this. And I'm like, I drew a picture on page 4. You know what I mean? It's like, I didn't like that anymore, and I needed to just separate myself. But I still read the magazine. I think it's a great magazine. It's quality. He's moved on. The owners I'm still friends with that retained the rights of the magazine. And I still get it and read it every month, and I think they do a great job. It really reflects well on our community.